Picture this. It's 7 in the morning. You swing your legs over the side of the bed and stand up. And for just a moment, your legs feel like they belong to someone else. Heavy, stiff, not quite ready. You grip the nightstand. You wait. You tell yourself this is just how mornings are now. This is just getting older. Then you walk to the kitchen, and somewhere between the bedroom and the coffee maker, your legs feel like you've already walked a mile. That familiar ache, that heaviness behind the knees, that strange reluctance in your thighs, like the muscles are half asleep and nobody told them to wake up. Maybe you've been blaming the weather. Maybe you've been blaming the mattress. Maybe you've been telling your spouse, "My legs just aren't what they used to be." And everyone around you nods, because they assume, and maybe you've started to assume, that this is simply what 60, 65, 70 years old feels like. Folks, I need to stop you right there, because that assumption, that quiet acceptance that heavy, weak, unreliable legs are just the price of getting older, that assumption is one of the most dangerous things a person over 60 can believe. And in the next 40-some minutes, I'm going to prove it to you. Let me tell you about a man I'll call Walter, 66 years old, retired firefighter from Dallas, Texas. Built like a refrigerator, strong hands, wide shoulders, the kind of man who spent 30 years carrying people out of burning buildings and never once asked for help. Walter came into my office one Tuesday afternoon and sat down very carefully, like a man who wasn't sure his legs would hold him if he stood too fast. His wife sat beside him, watching him with a look I've seen 1,000 times in my career. The look that says, "I'm scared, and he doesn't know how scared I am." Walter told me his legs had been getting heavier for about 18 months. Started as just a tired feeling after yard work. Then it was after a walk around the block. Then it was after the short trip from the parking lot to the grocery store entrance. He was 66 years old, and he was measuring his life in the distance between his car and the front door. I ran his complete panel that afternoon, and what I found changed everything Walter thought he knew about his own body. The cause of his failing legs wasn't his age. It wasn't wear and tear from 30 years of firefighting. It was something far simpler, and something completely fixable. Starting tonight. My name is Dr. Wilson Tang. I am a board-certified specialist who has spent 25 years working with older adults, in clinical settings, in rehabilitation, and alongside nephrologists and internists in cases where the whole body picture matters. I'm not a health influencer. I'm not here to sell you anything. I'm here because I have watched too many patients like Walter accept a slow, silent theft of their independence, and believe with their whole hearts that they had no choice but to let it happen. Now, friends, before I go one step further, I want to be clear. Everything I'm sharing comes from 25 years of clinical experience and observation. But your body is your own. Your medications, your health history, your individual situation. Those details matter. Please talk to your doctor about what's right for you. That said, stay with me, because what I'm about to tell you in this video is the kind of information most 7-minute doctor's appointments never get to. I'm going to stake my 25-year professional reputation on this, even if it surprises you, even if it contradicts what you've been told. Here is what I want you to do right now. Hit that like button. Don't think about it, just tap it. That like button is your first statement, your very first declaration, that you are not going to accept heavy legs, stolen independence, and a shrinking life as inevitable. That is not a like for me. That is a promise you are making to your own body. Hit it right now. In this video, I'm going to show you 3 dangerous reasons your legs are quietly getting weaker after 60, reasons that have nothing to do with age, and 8 specific foods you can start eating this week that begin reversing that damage. Simple foods, affordable foods, foods you can find in any grocery store in America. We are going to go through all 8, and I promise you, by the time I'm done, you will never look at your breakfast the same way again. But first, I need you to understand something that your doctor may not have had time to explain. Because without this context, the 8 foods won't make complete sense. And I want this to make sense. I want it to stick. Here is the truth about leg weakness after 60 that most people never hear. Your leg muscles don't work alone. They are part of a system, and that system depends on a continuous, precise delivery of specific nutrients. Nutrients your body's ability to process and distribute begins to change, significantly after age 60. The muscles in your legs are the largest muscles in your entire body. They carry your full weight every moment you stand, walk, or climb. They need magnesium to contract and release. They need protein building blocks to repair themselves after daily use. They need healthy fats to manage the inflammation that quietly accumulates in muscle tissue every single year. They need potassium to maintain electrical signaling between your nerves and your muscles. And they need steady, slow-burning energy to keep functioning hour after hour without suddenly running out of fuel. When any one of those pieces goes missing, or when your body's ability to absorb and use those nutrients begins to decline, your muscles start to starve. Slowly, silently. The way a car engine starts to knock and labor when it's running on bad fuel. You don't hear the engine seizing until the damage is already done. And your legs don't announce the problem until the morning you grip the nightstand and wonder how things got this bad. Now, some of you are sitting there thinking, my doctor ran blood work, everything looked fine. Folks, I need you to hold that thought. I'm going to come back to it, because that thought, that false sense of security from a standard blood panel, is exactly what kept Walter's legs getting weaker for 18 months while he believed nothing was wrong. Don't close this video thinking you already have the answer. You don't. Not yet. Stay with me. Let me tell you what was actually happening inside Walter's body. And inside the bodies of millions of Americans over 60 who wake up every morning with legs that feel like they're wrapped in wet cement. Danger number 1, and I want you to hear this clearly, friends, is what I call silent muscle starvation. It sounds dramatic. I wish it weren't. Here's the reality. After age 60, the human body becomes significantly less efficient at absorbing magnesium from food. Magnesium is the mineral that controls muscle contraction and release. Every single time you take a step, every time you stand up from a chair, every time you climb a stair, your leg muscles are firing and releasing in a choreographed sequence that absolutely depends on adequate magnesium. Without enough magnesium, that sequence breaks down. The muscles contract, but they release slowly. They tighten when they should relax. They cramp without warning. They ache. And they fatigue 3 to 4 times faster than they should. Think about a rubber band, folks. A healthy, well-nourished muscle fiber stretches and snaps back clean every time, all day long. But a muscle fiber that's starved of magnesium, that rubber band starts to feel like cold taffy. It stretches reluctantly. It doesn't snap back. You feel that reluctance in your quads when you try to stand. You feel it in your calves at 3 in the morning when the cramp wakes you up and you're grabbing your foot in the dark, trying to breathe through the pain. Studies suggest a significant number of adults over 60 consume less magnesium than their bodies require, not because they're careless, because the body's absorption efficiency changes with age. You could be eating magnesium-rich foods every day and still be running low, because your digestive system is delivering less of it to your muscles than it did 20 years ago. That's not your fault, but it is your problem, and it is solvable. Now, Walter had classic signs of magnesium-related muscle dysfunction: nighttime leg cramps, morning stiffness that took 30 minutes to ease, muscles that fatigued before his joints did. In 25 years, I've seen this pattern so many times, I can almost recognize it the moment a patient sits down. And almost every time, every single time, the solution began with the right foods. But here is the first place where most people get this wrong, friends. And I have to tell you this now, before we get to the solutions. Some of you are going to hear magnesium and immediately go to the supplement aisle. Stop. Please. Do not spend $60 on a bottle of magnesium capsules before you hear what I'm about to say about food number 1. Because what I'm about to tell you costs about $3 a week, and it delivers magnesium in a form your aging body can actually absorb and use. We'll get there. Keep watching. Now, before we get to danger number 2, I need to ask you something, folks, right now. Does any of this sound familiar? Do you wake up with heavy legs in the morning? Do you have nighttime leg cramps that jolt you awake? Do your legs feel tired before the rest of your body does? If that's you, type yes in the comments right now. I want to know how many people watching this video are experiencing exactly what Walter experienced. Type it right now. Yes, because you are not alone. I see this in my practice every single week, and every single week I wish I could sit down with every one of those patients and say, this is not the rest of your life. We can change this. And now, I need to tell you about danger number 2, because this one is even more cunning than the first. And if you think that addressing your magnesium issue makes you safe, stop. Right now. Stop. Because danger number 2 is already operating in your body at this very moment, and most people have no idea it exists. Danger number 2 is what I call the protein delivery failure. Here is what happens, friends. After age 60, and this is documented, this is not theory, I have watched this unfold in patient after patient for 25 years. Your body's ability to build and repair muscle tissue begins to slow down. Not because you stopped caring, not because you stopped exercising, because the biological machinery responsible for muscle repair becomes less responsive. Your muscles need a continuous supply of specific amino acids, the building blocks from protein, to repair the tiny micro-damage that happens during everyday use. Walking damages muscle fibers. Climbing stairs damages muscle fibers. Standing for an hour damages muscle fibers. That's normal. That's how muscles get stronger. But only if the repair machinery shows up with the right materials. When the repair machinery starts to fail, when your muscles aren't receiving adequate, high-quality protein with the right amino acid profile, those tiny micro-damages don't get fixed. They accumulate, week after week, month after month. And what you feel is exactly what Walter described. Legs that get heavier. Legs that don't recover the way they used to. Legs that feel worse on Tuesday than they did on Monday, and worse on Wednesday than Tuesday. And you can't point to anything dramatic that caused it, just a slow, grinding accumulation of unrepaired damage. Now here is the part that should genuinely alarm you, folks. Most Americans over 60 are not eating nearly enough high-quality protein, and many of the ones who believe they are eating the wrong forms. Protein powders with cheap amino acid profiles, processed protein bars loaded with sodium and additives, deli meats with phosphate preservatives that burden the kidneys and gut. The quality matters as much as the quantity. I'm going to show you the specific food that delivers the right protein in the right form, with a bonus nutrient that actually supercharges the repair process. And it's probably already in your grocery store right now. But I'm not done with the dangers yet. Because the third one, folks, the third one is the one that truly broke my heart when I saw what it had done to Walter. Subscribe right now, friends. Think of it as enrolling in the most valuable health plan you will ever have. No waiting room, no copay, no insurance pre-authorization. Just a specialist who has time to sit with you and tell you the things that never come up in a 15-minute appointment. Hit that subscribe button. And then stay with me, because what comes next is the part that explains everything. Danger number 3, inflammation. Silent, chronic, low-grade inflammation inside your muscle tissue. And I call this danger the most heartbreaking one because of what it does to people who are trying to stay healthy. Here's what happens, friends. As we age, the body's inflammatory response becomes less precise. Small amounts of inflammation that your body used to resolve quickly, the kind that happens after a walk, after yard work, after a normal, active day, begin to linger. And when inflammation lingers inside muscle tissue, it interferes with everything. It slows repair. It reduces circulation to the muscles. It causes that deep, vague achiness that's not sharp enough to call pain, but relentless enough to make you move less. And when you move less because your legs ache, your muscles get weaker. And weaker muscles ache more when you use them. And so, you move even less. It's a spiral, folks. I have watched it trap healthy, active people inside smaller and smaller lives. Let me tell you about a woman I'll call Patricia, 63 years old, retired nurse from Portland, Oregon. Patricia was someone who understood the human body professionally. She had spent 30 years caring for patients, watching over their health, protecting their dignity, and she had watched her own mother lose her independence to immobility in her 70s. Patricia was terrified of that outcome, absolutely terrified. So she was diligent. She walked every morning, she took her vitamins, she ate what she believed was a balanced, responsible diet. She was doing everything right, friends, everything she knew to do. Patricia started noticing the heaviness in her legs about 2 years before she came to see me. It started as just stiffness when she first got up. Then it became a fatigue that came earlier and earlier in her walks, first after 40 minutes, then after 20, then after 10. She cut her walks shorter. She told herself she was just having bad weeks. She pushed through. And then one Thursday morning, Patricia was walking down her front porch steps to get the newspaper, and her right leg just gave out. Not dramatically, no fall, no injury, just a moment of absolute no confidence. Her leg was there, and then it wasn't sure it was there. She grabbed the railing and stood still for 30 seconds, breathing, waiting for the feeling to come back. Patricia came to see me that same afternoon, and when she described that moment on the porch steps, I saw her eyes fill with tears. Not from pain, from fear. I've taken care of patients who couldn't trust their legs, she told me, and now I'm becoming one of them. That sentence has stayed with me for years, folks. When I reviewed Patricia's diet, the picture came clear very quickly. She was consuming almost no omega-3 fatty acids, none. Her daily intake of anti-inflammatory nutrients was essentially zero. She was eating what she believed was healthy, and in many ways it was. But her muscles were burning with chronic, low-grade inflammation every single day, completely unaddressed, and it was robbing her of her mobility 1 degree at a time. Now, some of you are thinking, I take a fish oil capsule every morning, so I'm fine, right? Not so fast, friends. Not so fast. The form of omega-3s matters enormously. The dose matters. And more importantly, there are specific foods that deliver these anti-inflammatory compounds in a way the body absorbs and uses dramatically more effectively than most supplements. I am going to show you the specific food, the preparation method, and the specific combination that makes it work at full power. But we haven't gotten there yet, and before we do, I want to make absolutely sure you understand what is actually at stake here. Can I be honest with you folks? Completely honest? Because this is the part I don't hear enough people saying out loud. Do you know what it costs to lose your ability to walk independently in America? I'm not talking about emergency surgery or a major illness. I'm talking about the slow erosion of leg strength and mobility that leads to a fall, a fracture, a hospital stay, a rehabilitation facility. The average cost of a short-term rehab stay after a fall-related fracture runs tens of thousands of dollars. And for those who cannot return to independent living afterward, assisted living facilities in the United States cost anywhere from $48,000 to over $100,000 per year, every year. That is your retirement savings. That is your children's inheritance. That is the security you spent your whole life building, handed over to a facility because your legs were no longer reliable enough to keep you in your own home. And the cruelest part, the part that keeps me up at night after 25 years in this work, is that most of those falls, most of that loss of independence, traces back directly to nutritional deficiencies that were present for years before the fall ever happened. Years. The legs were giving quiet warnings for years, and nobody was listening, because everyone assumed it was just aging. I'm tired of that assumption, friends. I'm here today to give those quiet warnings a louder voice. Now, I know how some of you are feeling right now. Some of you are sitting there thinking, this is terrifying. I'm going to go throw out my entire kitchen. Please don't. Please hear me on this. The reason I've been this direct, this intense, is not to scare you into paralysis. It's because the right information, given clearly and early enough, changes outcomes. I have watched it change outcomes with my own eyes, and I'm about to show you the 8 specific foods that begin reversing this damage. These are not miracle cures. I want to be clear about that. They are real, whole, affordable foods with documented nutritional properties that support exactly what your leg muscles need. Free. Available tonight. And I promise you, this next part changes everything. Take a breath, folks. Exhale. Because from this point forward, we are moving from the problem to the solution. And the solution is better than you think. Let me tell you something, friends. 3 months after Patricia made the changes I'm about to walk you through, she came back into my office, walking differently. Not dramatically, just steadily. The hesitation was gone. She sat down without gripping the armrests, and she told me something I will never forget. "Dr. Tang," she said, "I walked to the end of my street and back this morning, the whole way, without stopping. I haven't done that in 2 years." She was smiling the way people smile when they get something back they thought was gone forever. 2 weeks after Patricia started these changes, the morning stiffness that had taken her 30 minutes to shake off every day, it was down to about 10 minutes. 1 month in, her afternoon fatigue, the heavy, dragging feeling that used to hit her around 2 p.m., had significantly improved. At the 3-month mark, she extended her morning walks back to 20 minutes, then 30. She was not a different person. She was the same person her legs had been slowly stealing from herself, and she got herself back. Now, let's talk about exactly how she did it. 8 foods, all of them real, all of them affordable, all of them working on a specific part of the leg weakness problem we just discussed. Let's go through them. Food number 1, salmon. Folks, of all the foods I recommend in this video, salmon does the most work, and I want to explain why in a way that makes sense for your body specifically, not for a 25-year-old athlete, not for someone with perfect kidney function and a metabolism that runs like a new engine. For you. For someone over 60 whose muscles have been quietly running low on repair materials. Here's the thing your body is dealing with after 60. Your muscles are made of protein fibers. Every single day, those fibers sustain micro-damage from use, walking down to the mailbox, carrying grocery bags from the car, standing at the kitchen counter making dinner. Your muscles sustain tiny tears from all of it. That's normal. That's how muscles stay alive and functional, through constant cycles of damage and repair. The problem, friends, is that after 60, the repair signal weakens. Your muscles receive the damage signal just fine, but the rebuild signal, the one that says, "Send amino acids here, start the repair process," that signal gets quieter every year. Salmon addresses this problem in 2 distinct ways, and no other food does both as effectively for older adults. First, it is rich in high-quality protein with the complete set of essential amino acids your muscles need to actually execute the repair. A typical 4-ounce serving of salmon delivers around 22 grams of protein. That's not just quantity, friends, it's quality. The amino acid profile of salmon protein closely matches what human muscle tissue requires for reconstruction. Think of it this way. Your muscles are a construction crew waiting for materials. Generic protein powders deliver a pile of random lumber. Salmon delivers pre-cut framing wood, roofing tiles, and the exact hardware the job requires. The crew can actually get to work. Second, and this is the part that separates salmon from most other protein sources, salmon is loaded with omega-3 fatty acids, specifically EPA and DHA. Now, remember danger number 3, the silent, chronic inflammation quietly burning through Patricia's muscle tissue? Omega-3s are the single most powerful dietary tool for addressing exactly that. They help regulate the body's inflammatory response at the cellular level. When inflammation is lower inside your muscle tissue, those muscles recover faster, function more efficiently, and feel less like dead weight when you first stand up in the morning. Research involving adults between the ages of 60 and 75 found that increasing omega-3 intake over several months produced measurable improvements in the muscle repair response. The muscles became more responsive, more efficient at rebuilding, more capable of actually executing the repair that their bodies had been requesting, and failing to complete for years. That's not a vitamin commercial, folks. That's what I've watched happen in my own patients, over and over again. Salmon also contains vitamin D, and I want to spend just a moment on this because it matters enormously for leg strength specifically. Vitamin D plays a direct role in muscle contraction. When levels are too low, and many older adults, especially those who spend less time outdoors, have lower vitamin D levels, muscles become prone to weakness, reduced stability, and a kind of vague, hard-to-describe unreliability. The muscle is there, it's just not firing at full strength. That sensation of your legs feeling not quite right, even when nothing specifically hurts? Vitamin D deficiency is a documented contributor to exactly that feeling. I recommend including salmon 2 to 3 times per week, friends. Bake it simply. Lemon, a little garlic, a small drizzle of olive oil. 15 minutes at 400 degrees. That's it. The preparation does not need to be complicated. And before you think about spending money on omega-3 supplements, try the salmon first. Real food delivers these nutrients in a biological matrix that your body handles far more efficiently than most capsules. And if you're sitting there right now thinking, I don't eat much fish, that's important information. That's a gap, and it may be a gap your legs have been paying for longer than you realize. Food number 2, pumpkin seeds. Folks, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, pumpkin seeds? Those little things from the Halloween decorations? Yes, those. And I want you to pay very close attention here, because this is the food I wish I could hand to every single patient who has ever walked into my office complaining of nighttime leg cramps. Remember danger number 1, silent muscle starvation from magnesium deficiency? Pumpkin seeds are one of the single richest natural sources of magnesium on Earth. A small 2 tablespoon serving delivers roughly 35 to 40% of the daily magnesium needs for most older adults. Think about that for a moment. 2 tablespoons. Sprinkled on your oatmeal in the morning, and you have addressed nearly half of the magnesium gap that may be causing your legs to cramp at 3 in the morning and stiffen like concrete every time you stand up. Here's the analogy I use with my patients, friends. Your muscles are like a door with a spring hinge. Magnesium is the lubricant in that spring. When the lubricant is there, the door swings open and swings shut smoothly, efficiently, without effort. When the lubricant is low, the door starts to stick. It opens with resistance. It closes with a groan. And eventually, under the right pressure, it seizes up entirely. That's a leg cramp, folks. That's your muscle seizing up in the middle of the night because the spring ran out of lubricant. Pumpkin seeds also contain zinc and healthy fats that help manage low-grade inflammation. That's danger number 3, still being addressed. And they are genuinely easy to include. Sprinkle them over salads. Toss them into yogurt. Keep a small container on the counter and grab a handful as a snack in the afternoon. For even better mineral absorption, soak them in water for 8 hours before eating. This simple step reduces compounds that can interfere with how efficiently your body extracts the magnesium. I know that sounds like a lot. It's not. Fill a small bowl before bed, drain it in the morning. That's the whole process. Walter, the retired firefighter from Dallas, had been waking up 3 to 4 nights a week with leg cramps so severe his wife would hear him yelp across the bedroom. Within 3 weeks of adding pumpkin seeds to his daily routine, along with the other foods we discussed, those nighttime cramps dropped to once per week. Within 6 weeks, they were essentially gone. He came back for a follow-up appointment and told me he'd slept through the night 4 nights in a row. He looked like a different man. His wife looked like she'd exhaled for the first time in 2 years. Now, some of you are thinking you've already tried magnesium supplements, and they didn't work, or they upset your stomach. Friends, that's a real issue with certain forms of magnesium supplements. Food-based magnesium from pumpkin seeds is absorbed through a completely different pathway and causes none of those digestive issues. This is exactly why I lead with food first. Your body knows what to do with a pumpkin seed. It doesn't always know what to do with a 500 milligram capsule. Food number 3, avocado. Now here is where I need to be careful, folks, and where I need you to pay attention very specifically. Because avocados are a food with an extraordinary nutritional profile for leg muscle health, but only when consumed in the right context for your specific body. If you have been told your kidneys are not functioning optimally, if your eGFR is below 60, please talk to your doctor before dramatically increasing your avocado intake. Because I'm about to tell you why avocados are powerful. And I want you to understand that power comes with a responsibility to know your own numbers. For most adults over 60 with normal to near normal kidney function, avocado is one of the most valuable foods for leg strength you can eat. Here's why. Avocados contain more potassium than a banana, significantly more. And potassium is the mineral responsible for the electrical signaling between your nerves and your muscles. Every step you take, every time you push yourself up from a chair, every time your leg muscles fire, they are receiving an electrical signal. Potassium is what carries that signal. When potassium levels are adequate, the signal travels clean and fast. Your muscles respond immediately, efficiently, with full power. When potassium is low, that signal becomes garbled, delayed. Your muscles start to feel slow to respond, heavy, uncoordinated. You feel it in your quads. You feel it in your calves. You feel it in the lag between deciding to move and actually moving. Avocados also contain the monounsaturated healthy fats that help reduce the chronic inflammation we talked about in danger number 3, along with magnesium and vitamin E, both of which protect muscle cells from the oxidative damage that accumulates in aging tissue. Think of oxidative stress the way you think of rust, friends. A young body has very effective rust prevention systems. An older body needs nutritional help keeping the rust off the muscle fibers. Avocado delivers multiple layers of that protection simultaneously. Half an avocado with eggs at breakfast, sliced over a salad at lunch, mashed simply with a squeeze of lemon on whole grain toast. These are not complicated preparations, and the compound benefit to your leg muscles, potassium signaling plus anti-inflammatory fats plus antioxidant protection, is real and measurable. Several of my patients who added half an avocado daily reported within 3 to 4 weeks that the afternoon leg heaviness they had accepted as a daily fact of life had noticeably decreased, not eliminated, improved. And improvement, folks, is the direction we're trying to go. Food number 4, bone broth. I know what some of you are thinking. Bone broth. Isn't that just a soup? Why is the doctor telling me to drink soup? Stay with me, friends, because this is the food that addresses something most people never think about, and something absolutely critical for why legs become unreliable after 60. Your leg muscles don't work alone. They work inside a system of connective tissue, tendons, ligaments, cartilage, that surrounds, stabilizes, and supports every muscle movement. And those connective tissues have their own nutritional requirements that are completely separate from what the muscle fibers themselves need. After age 60, that connective tissue begins to lose elasticity. It becomes stiffer, less able to absorb the impact of walking, less able to stabilize the joints through a full range of motion. And when connective tissue stiffens and weakens, the muscles compensate by working harder, which makes them fatigue faster, which makes your legs feel heavier, which is where we started this morning. Bone broth, made properly, simmered slowly from beef or chicken bones with a small amount of vinegar to draw out the nutrients, releases collagen and gelatin into the liquid. These proteins break down into amino acids, specifically glycine and proline, that the body uses directly to repair and rebuild connective tissue. Think of your tendons and ligaments as the cables in a suspension bridge, folks. The muscles are the roadway. But if the cables are frayed and stiff, the roadway can't function smoothly no matter how strong it is. Bone broth is cable maintenance. Real, food-based, highly bioavailable cable maintenance. I recommend a cup of warm bone broth 3 to 4 times per week. After a walk is an ideal time. You've just used the muscles and connective tissues, and supplying the repair amino acids in the following hour supports faster recovery. You can make it at home over a weekend in a slow cooker. Bones, water, vegetables, a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar, 12 to 24 hours on low. Store it in the refrigerator for the week. Cost per serving? Somewhere between 50 cents and $1. That's it, folks. 50 cents towards stronger, more stable legs. And here is something I want to say directly to every person watching who has been told they have early arthritis in their knees or hips, the stiff, grinding sensation that makes stairs feel like a negotiation. That is not just about cartilage wear. It is partially about the integrity and nutrition of the surrounding connective tissue. Bone broth won't reverse arthritis. I want to be clear about that. But supporting the connective tissue that cushions and stabilizes the joint, that is something food can meaningfully contribute to. And I have watched patients with knee stiffness report significant improvement in their morning mobility within 6 to 8 weeks of consistent bone broth use. Not everyone, but enough times that I recommend it confidently. Now, friends, here is what I need you to do right now. Take out your phone. Open your messages. Think of someone you love who is over 60 and whose legs have been getting heavier, slower, or less reliable. Your mother, your father, your spouse, your best friend from church, your neighbor who used to walk with you every morning but stopped coming because it got too hard. You now have information they do not have. One text message, one share. That is how information like this travels, not through pharmaceutical companies with advertising budgets, but through people who care about each other. Text this video right now, before your next meal. Let me be the one to have this conversation for them. No argument at the dinner table, just the truth from a doctor who has seen this play out in too many lives. Food number 5, sweet potatoes. Folks, this is the food I think of as the fuel supply, and I want to use an analogy here that I've used with patients for 20 years because it makes this concept click immediately. Your leg muscles are like a hybrid vehicle. They run on 2 fuel sources, quick-burning fuel for short bursts and steady-burning fuel for sustained activity. When you only eat refined carbohydrates, white bread, crackers, sugary cereals, processed snacks, you're filling the gas tank with rocket fuel. It burns fast, it burns hot, and then it's gone. Your muscles flare, and then they crash. That crash is the sudden leg fatigue that hits you in the middle of an afternoon walk, or halfway up the stairs, or just standing in the kitchen making lunch. Sweet potatoes provide complex carbohydrates, slow-digesting carbohydrates that release energy gradually, steadily, over several hours instead of all at once. Your muscles receive a continuous, even supply of fuel, not a spike and a crash. An even flame, burning all the way through your afternoon activities without running out before you're done with your day. That difference between a spike and crash energy pattern and a steady burn energy pattern is felt directly in your legs. It is one of the primary reasons people over 60 experience that dreaded afternoon heaviness. They had the wrong breakfast. A medium-sized baked sweet potato delivers around 500 to 550 milligrams of potassium, back to that critical electrical signaling mineral for muscle contraction. It delivers vitamin A and antioxidants that protect muscle cells from the oxidative rust we talked about. And it is one of the most versatile foods in any kitchen. Bake it in the oven for an hour. Roast it in cubes with olive oil. Steam it and mash it simply with a little garlic. Slice it and crisp it in an air fryer. Every preparation works. Every preparation delivers the benefit. Here is a specific, practical suggestion, friends. Try eating your sweet potato at lunch instead of dinner. Your leg muscles need that steady fuel in the afternoon when they're carrying you through the second half of your active day. By the time dinner comes, you don't need as much. The timing matters. Food is not just what you eat, it's when you eat it, relative to what your body is trying to do. Food number 6, quinoa. Now here is the food that surprises most of my patients over 60, and the one that tends to make the biggest difference for those who want plant-based sources of muscle-supporting protein. Quinoa is technically a seed, prepared and eaten like a grain, with one extraordinary nutritional distinction. It contains all 9 essential amino acids. All 9. Most plant-based foods are missing one or more. Quinoa has the complete set, the full construction crew, not just half the team. That matters enormously for muscle repair, especially for older adults whose repair systems are already less responsive than they once were. A single cup of cooked quinoa provides roughly 8 grams of protein, along with magnesium, iron, and potassium, that powerful trio of muscle-supporting minerals that addresses all 3 of the dangers we discussed. The iron content deserves a specific mention, folks. Iron is responsible for oxygen transport in the blood. When your working muscles need energy, they need oxygen delivered efficiently to the muscle cells. Low iron means your blood is delivering less oxygen per trip, and muscles receiving inadequate oxygen fatigue faster, much faster. This is one of the documented contributors to that out of breath before my legs should be tired feeling that many older adults experience during modest activity. If climbing one flight of stairs leaves you winded in a way that feels disproportionate to the effort, iron-supported oxygen delivery is a conversation worth having with your doctor. Preparing quinoa is genuinely simple, friends. Rinse it. This step matters. It removes the natural bitter coating. Then simmer it in water or low-sodium broth for about 15 minutes until it becomes light and fluffy. Use it as a base for a grain bowl with vegetables and grilled chicken. Eat it warm as a breakfast dish with a handful of blueberries and a spoonful of yogurt. Mix it cold into a salad. It is mild, it is adaptable, it takes on the flavor of whatever you cook it with, and it provides complete protein plus 3 critical muscle minerals in one simple dish that costs approximately $1 per serving. Food number 7. Walnuts. Folks, I want to tell you about the anti-inflammation weapon hiding in your grocery store's bulk section. Walnuts. Small, unassuming, easy to ignore in favor of something that seems more impressive. And one of the most powerful dietary tools available for addressing the silent, chronic inflammation that is quietly burning through your muscle tissue day after day. Walnuts are the richest plant source of a specific omega-3 fatty acid called ALA, alpha-linolenic acid. Now, ALA is not as directly active as the EPA and DHA in salmon. Your body needs to convert it. But for adults over 60 who are not eating fish several times per week, walnuts provide a meaningful secondary source of anti-inflammatory omega-3s that helps manage the low-grade muscle inflammation we discussed in danger number 3. Think of walnuts as the maintenance crew that works between the salmon meals. The muscle inflammation that accumulates from daily use doesn't only need to be addressed 3 times per week when you eat salmon. It needs daily attention. Walnuts give you that daily attention in a form you can carry in your pocket. Walnuts also contain polyphenols, plant compounds with antioxidant properties that protect muscle cells from oxidative damage. And they provide magnesium, which we've already established is absolutely critical for proper muscle contraction and release. A small 1-ounce portion, roughly a small handful, is the right amount. Over 1 ounce, and the caloric density becomes significant. Under 1 ounce, and you're not getting meaningful benefit. 1 small handful. In your oatmeal in the morning, on a salad at lunch, as a mid-afternoon snack with an apple. That's all it takes. One study involving adults over 55 found that those who included a daily small portion of walnuts showed improved markers related to cardiovascular and metabolic health over time. Why does that matter for your legs, friends? Because your leg muscles are supplied by your cardiovascular system. Better circulation means more oxygen and nutrients delivered to the muscles with every heartbeat. Better metabolic health means the muscles can use what they receive more efficiently. Walnuts contribute to both of those downstream benefits. In 25 years, I have never seen a patient harm themselves by adding a small handful of walnuts to their daily routine, and I've seen many who were quietly grateful they did. Food number 8. Greek yogurt. Folks, we've made it to the final food, and I've saved this one for last because it brings together 3 of the most critical pieces of the leg strength puzzle in one simple, affordable, widely available food. Greek yogurt is not exciting. It's not trendy. It doesn't have an interesting story or an exotic origin. It is a staple food that your grocery store sells for $3 to $4 a container. and it is doing more work per dollar for your leg muscles than almost any supplement on any shelf in any pharmacy in America. Here's why. Greek yogurt. Plain, unsweetened Greek yogurt, not the flavored varieties loaded with added sugar, provides 15 to 18 grams of high-quality protein per serving. That's meaningful on its own, but the specific amino acid profile of Greek yogurt is rich in leucine, and leucine is the trigger. Leucine is the specific amino acid that actually activates the muscle repair signal we discussed, the signal that after 60 starts to get quieter and harder to hear. When leucine is present in sufficient quantity, it is like turning up the volume on that repair signal. The body's muscle-building machinery becomes more responsive, more capable of actually executing the repair process that your muscles have been requesting without adequate response for months or years. Greek yogurt also provides calcium, and I want to be clear about what calcium does for leg strength specifically, friends, because most people associate calcium only with bones. Calcium absolutely supports bone strength, but calcium also participates directly in the muscle contraction signal. The chain works like this. Your nerve fires, calcium is released, the muscle fiber contracts. When calcium is adequate, that chain executes cleanly, powerfully, completely. When calcium is low, the contraction is weaker, less precise, more easily fatigued. Your bones and your muscles are not separate systems fighting for the same resource. They are partners, using calcium together. Greek yogurt supports both of them simultaneously. And here is one more benefit that most people completely overlook, folks. Greek yogurt contains probiotics, beneficial bacteria that support a healthy digestive system. Now, you might be thinking, what does my digestive system have to do with my legs? Everything. Your gut is where every nutrient in this video, every gram of protein, every milligram of magnesium and potassium, every gram of healthy fat, has to pass through before it can reach your muscles. A compromised gut doesn't absorb nutrients efficiently. Food goes in, nutrients come out the other end unused, and your muscles receive a fraction of what they should. A healthy gut biome means your body is actually extracting and delivering the nutritional value from all 8 foods we've discussed today. Greek yogurt is the system upgrade that makes everything else work better. 1 serving. In the morning with a handful of walnuts and some blueberries, or as an afternoon snack with a drizzle of honey and sliced apple. Plain, unsweetened. That is the whole recommendation. Now, friends, I know some of you right now are thinking, this is a lot of foods. I can't change everything at once. Good. Don't. I want to be very clear about this. I am not asking you to overhaul your entire diet overnight. That approach fails almost every time. What I am asking you to do tonight, just tonight, is pick 1 food from this list. Just 1. The one that is most accessible to you. Maybe it's walnuts you already have in the pantry. Maybe it's a sweet potato sitting in your kitchen right now. Maybe it's Greek yogurt you can pick up tomorrow morning. 1 food. Add it this week. Pay attention to how your legs feel after 7 days of consistent use. Notice the small changes. Then add a second food the following week. Small changes, done consistently, accumulate into real, measurable, life-altering results. I have watched it happen. Walter came back to my office 4 months after our first appointment. He walked through the door, crossed the room, and sat down without holding anything. No armrests, no wall, no brief pause at the threshold of the door. He sat down and looked at me and said, "I mowed my whole lawn on Saturday, front and back." He was smiling the way a man smiles when he gets himself back. That is the whole point of this video, folks. Not a list of foods, a reclaimed life. Here is the bottom line. 3 things I want you to carry with you from everything we covered today. Number 1. Leg weakness after 60 is not inevitable aging. It is your muscles telling you they are not receiving the nutritional support they need. That is a solvable problem. Number 2. 3 silent dangers are at work right now in the legs of millions of Americans over 60. Silent muscle starvation from magnesium deficiency, protein delivery failure that prevents muscle repair, and chronic low-grade inflammation burning through muscle tissue day after day. All three are directly addressed by the 8 foods we discussed. Number 3. The solution is in your grocery store, not your pharmacy, not an online supplement catalog, your grocery store. This week, right now as we speak, someone else over 60 is quietly accepting that their legs are just like this now. They haven't heard what you just heard. They haven't been given the permission I'm giving you right now to expect more from your body than slow, steady decline. But not you, because now you know. Type strong legs in the comments right now. Those 2 words are a promise. A promise to yourself that you are going to take one step this week, literally and figuratively, towards stronger legs, greater confidence, and an independent life that does not shrink by the year. Type it right now. Strong legs. And while you're there, read the comments. See how many other people are making the same promise. You are not alone in this. This is a community of people who refuse to accept less than what their bodies are capable of. If this video gave you something real, something worth acting on, something worth bringing to your next doctor's appointment, hit that like button right now. That is your commitment. Your declaration that you are paying attention to your own health in a way that matters. Hit subscribe. Every week I bring you science-based, practical information about keeping your body strong, capable, and independent as you age. No fluff, no shortcuts, no supplements to buy. Just a doctor who has time for you. Hit that button right now and share this video, friends. Post it in your Facebook, send it to your family text group, share it with your church group, your golf partners, your walking club, your book circle. Think about who in your life has been quietly mentioning heavy legs. Who has been taking the elevator instead of the stairs? Who cut their morning walk short this week? You now have information that could change the direction of their health. One share, one text, that is real care for someone you love. The share button is right there. Use it. Before I let you go, one more thing, folks. In my next video, I'm going to reveal the single most common breakfast habit that is silently blocking every one of the nutrients we talked about today from actually reaching your muscles. Millions of people over 60 do this every single morning while believing it's helping them. You are going to want to see that one. It might be the most important 7 minutes of your health this year. I don't want to see you gripping the nightstand in the morning. I don't want to see you measuring your independence by the distance between the parking lot and the front door. I want to see you at the park, walking the whole trail, taking the stairs without thinking about it, dancing at your grandchild's wedding, gardening on a Saturday afternoon without your legs giving out before the bed is weeded, playing with the grandkids on the floor and getting back up again without an audience holding their breath. That is what I want for every single person watching this video. That is what your body is still capable of. And the path there starts tonight, with one food, one choice, one promise to yourself. Stay strong, folks. Take care of your legs, and your legs will take care of you. I'm Dr. Wilson Tang, your lifelong specialist. I'll see you in the next one.